Hey everybody, my name is JS Matthews and welcome back to Writing and Role Playing. Today I am so excited. I finally get to share with you guys a craft I've been working on for, probably a month, 2 months now. It's been a lot of work, but finally have it to a point where I can share it with you guys, and it is this massive monstrosity you see before you. I needed a Mage's Tower for my games, one that would work with my UDT, and so I started building one. I had a MDF kit that I wanted to build for a while now. I've had it sitting there, so I finally made the decision to sit down and build it, and then decided on a second tower to go with it. So let's go ahead and jump right on in here. First thing we have here is the MDF kit. This thing is pretty awesome. I'll put a link to it in the description. I got it from Amazon for, I think it was 30 bucks at the time, or 35, something like that. And all we do is just start following the directions. It's pretty easy putting the roof together here of that first building. So there's a couple little base parts that go together. And then as you can see here, some steps going up. Pretty cool look to it. I like it. And then I had to work on just kind of the rest of it, snapping some stairs into place and just building each of these levels as I went up and then connecting them. I did add glue to each of these parts. I knew I wasn't going to pull them apart. So even the ones that snap together here, I do actually work on just putting a little bit of glue underneath them and just making sure that they're nice and solidified there. And there's the first level set of stairs, looking pretty cool. I think that might actually be the last level on the top. But yeah, I like this little MDF kit. It's pretty easy to use. Really, the directions actually make total sense. I only made one mistake, and it was pretty easy to fix. But here I am just kind of gluing in place those last set of stairs, and then I'm going to start setting everything on top of just each level, building them up. Again, not too hard to build, pretty simple. It's definitely one of those things you got to take your time with, and you got to be willing to have a little craft knife there to, trim some stuff down, all that. There's another one of the levels with those little stairs there on the side, and then I think that's the first level right there as well. Here's how it looked stacking it up. We had 3 levels on. All I needed was the top part, and I end up adding that. Again, not too hard. Took me, I think maybe 2 days to build, just kind of putting it all together. There's the final bit there. Looks really good. And again, easy build and pretty cheap. I think it is still decently cheap. I think it's like 40 bucks now or something like that. And it looks great. You could leave it like this and have no problems. But me, I wanted to add something to it. I wanted to kind of add a little bit of 3D effects and stuff. And so that's kind of what I started. The first thing I did was I needed a base for it. I wanted to have like a basement, because that first floor is actually kind of elevated. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to have a little basement underneath it. So I just went here and just kind of traced it out on a piece of XPS foam here, and just kind of, wherever I wanted it to look, as long as it fit on there, and, just kind of go to town with it. Not a big deal. It wasn't like it had to be perfect or anything. And then all I did once I got it traced out was I grabbed my foam cutter and just cut around there. Worked great. I even carved in some steps there. I thought those looked really good. I thought those turned out great. That was awesome. But some nice little steps leading up, and that's how it's going to look. Looking pretty good. Of course, it's not just going to sit there. I had to come up with a sort of a foundation for the tower. So that's the next thing we're going to work on, is building a foundation. Now to do that, I just grabbed some more XPS foam, used my little foam cutter there, that hot wire cutter, and I got that for Christmas from my mother and father-in-law. Pretty sure they got it for about 20 bucks at most. It came with a bunch of little attachments. It works great. I don't have any problems with it. It'd be nice to have a bigger one, but beggars can't be choosers. I'm not going to complain. And all I do is just kind of take off some edges here, especially making some of those little diagonal cuts that they fit in, and then just cut another brick, measure it out, cut it, and then just glue it all into place. Pretty easy. Now, the one thing you'll notice here is I'm trying to keep it to where I can actually lift up the rest of the tower. I don't want it to stick there. That way I can actually lift it off of that foundation and have the tower separate if I want to, and to get to that basement level, as I said. And there we are, getting the last one in place. And and then just went on with the next level. I built a second level, and then I got some kind of smaller ones and just wedged them up in there. Just made sure again that I didn't want it fully sitting on there. I wanted the bottom parts to actually be touching the foundation as well, those little legs. But pretty easy again, just throw a little glue on them, tuck them in under there, and we have a nice looking foundation. I even carved some more steps there and made them look pretty nice. I like that. Some steps leading up to it. Again, pops right out. Looks really good. And there's our basement area. Again, just slide it right back in. I love how this turned out. It worked so well. I was so happy with it. It couldn't have been better. Now here I'm going to take a little bit more foam and I'm going to cut some more steps. These are going to go on the inside of the tower. Again, when you're doing this, you can watch me there. I'm trying to be super careful with it. I'm cutting slow because one missed cut and there goes your thumb. And there we go, just kind of cut that chunk out, pop it free, and got a nice set of steps to go right there on the inside. I kind of mush them down a little bit, give them a little bit of texture. I did forget to texture all this. Is the one thing I realized before I painted it, was I totally forgot to texture all these, but they'll look fine anyways. Now the next thing is I wanted to get some little tiny bricks and just kind of outline each floor so it looks like there's kind of like the facade of a wall there, and that way, you know, I can actually reach inside of it and stuff, so you can see that's kind of what I'm doing. Just one level, just make it look like there's the appearance of a wall. I also had the brilliant idea of 3D printing a bunch of doors. That'll be in a later video when I actually paint this thing up. This video is just about building it, but we'll do a whole video on painting it as well, and I got a bunch of ideas for 3D printing. That I'll share with you later. But yeah, I left spaces for doors so I could actually put those on there, and they open and close and all that stuff. And yeah, having a 3D printer really changes the way I looked at crafting. It adds so much. But here's the next step, just kind of adding it around that edge there. Just throw some glue down and just start slapping those little blocks down, making it look like an outline of a wall. I really liked that. I think it turned out pretty good. Sorry about my shaky camera, by the way. One of these days I'm going to remember to actually hook my camera stand up to something that's not my table. I have kind of a homemade table that I made, and I made it so it could fold up, but it's so dang heavy that I never fold it up. I just leave it where it is. I'm starting to think maybe I should just bolt down the legs, which is probably something I'll do eventually, but I don't know. I get a little lazy with stuff like that. Like, it's functional now. So this is how it looked once I finished up all those little rows. I think it looks great. I love that. It gives kind of each row a little bit of something there. I was thinking of throwing some windows on as well. Might do that sometime, but for right now I really like it the way it looks. Now I cut out this chunk here because I had an idea. I wanted a second tower. I kind of thought it'd be cool to have just kind of a piece coming off. And then I decided, you know, you look at all these other art images of towers and mages towers, and they always have like a bridge leading to another tower that's like on like a big rock face or something like that, you know, like a big rock pyramid, or kind of like a rock pier. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to do something like that. And so here's kind of my rough outline here of what I wanted to do. And so I started building just at XPS Foam, just kind of the outline of what I wanted it to look like. And it kind of went crazy, to be honest. I started off just thinking, oh, I'll just make a little tower here, it'll all be good. But unfortunately, my overactive imagination went completely and utterly nuts. This is kind of a fun little tip. Stick some little what are those, toothpicks in there, and put some glue on them, and then stick it in, and you'll get some real good rigidity, that's the word I'm looking for, and support. And so I kind of did that and just kind of kept it all nice there. And this is what I did next, is I had a bunch of this spray insulation foam. This is meant for windows and stuff, and instead I had the brilliant idea of spraying it around and creating basically a giant rock formation out of this stuff. And as you can see, it sticks and it expands. I will say when I started going up higher, it did kind of start falling over, but it's fine. I just waited till part of it dried and then sprayed again, and it worked out great. And then the next step was to carve it all up. Again, be real careful with that knife. I haven't cut myself yet with it. I have cut myself before with a knife, but not with this one yet. So yeah, thankfully no blood in this video. But be real careful. One little slip, and yeah. If you can see, this is in pretty fast. This is in fast motion here. I'm speeding this up. I was being real careful carving that down. But this is how it looked at the end. I really liked it. I thought it looked real cool. Glued it down to that bottom base. There is some space there, so I just kind of shoved some of that stuff I cut off down in there into those spaces, just kind of cover them up. But I loved the way that turned out. It looked awesome. Now this next step is real messy. I grabbed some spackle and ended up actually adding a bunch of grout to it as well. So I have grout and spackle. There you go. You see it right there, that brown stuff. And I have a bunch of grout left over from when I did one of my bathrooms, well, two of my bathrooms, and just have a lot of it left over, so I just figured I'd use it here. It gives it a little texture and hardens up real good. So I just mashed this stuff all through here. That took a while, and man, was it messy. My hands, yeah, I had to wash my hands pretty good after that, but I really like the way it turned out. You'll see here in just a second. Man, it looks great. Look at that. That real look, you know, it looks like real rock features. I really liked that. I can't wait to paint that guy up. It's going to look real good. Now, the next thing I did was started carving in some stones. I didn't do that on camera. Probably should have. I also carved in some wood grain there and a circle. And yeah, I kind of outlined where I wanted the inside of my tower and the outside of my tower, and just started getting to work. There's one of those doors I 3D printed. I'll have a video on those next time. Once we touch on this Mage's Tower, I'll probably have 1 or 2 videos in between there, because it's going to take a while to paint this bad boy up, and it's going to be a bit. But I have a couple ideas that I've been working on as well in between. But here I am, just taking those little blocks in and just laying them out. And again, it's not an exact science. Just throw them down, make sure they're somewhat even, and yeah, just make your way around. Pretty quick work. And here we are with the second row. I built this up a couple times. Now, as I was doing this, I realized, man, if I want to do the whole tower out of this, that's going to be a pain in the butt. And so I decided to stop after the first level here and just leave it how it is. And I was like, you know what? That looks good. I like it. It fit really great with that door. I can't actually pull the door out still. So that'll go back in eventually once I'm done painting it. Here I am working on some little, I guess, guardrails. I kind of had this idea that I wanted a railing going around the outside, like a little deck. And so I started working on these. Pretty easy, just cut them with my foam cutter and draw that line in with a pencil. Pretty easy. And man, do those look good. Look at how much better that looks just with those on there. All I did was use some tacky glue, just stick them on there and make sure they were straight, and do the next one and keep on going. And I just fit those guys all the way around, and look at that. Man, that added so much to that. I can't wait to get the wood pieces on there. I'll stain those up, and man, that's going to look real good once this gets painted. Looking awesome. I think that's one of the things about foam I love so much. It's just so easy to work with. A little bit of texture work, and man, just brings everything to life. Now, here's some 3D printed windows. Again, man, I've been dying to use this 3D printer in a craft. So I decided to print some windows to go with those doors. And then I just glued them to one of those blocks of foam, just like that. And then glued some little blocks on the sides. And just started working my way up and just framed each window. I did 4 on the first level, and I think I did 1 later on. So I just kind of used, I think, 5 windows total, maybe 6. I'll have to double check. But yeah, just kind of glued them on there. That set of stairwell, by the way, that stairwell is 3D printed as well. I loved that. I saw it online. I was like, you know what? I got to throw that in. That'll be cool. And that ended up kind of being the center piece of my tower here. And I really liked it. I think they look really good. It was a pretty easy print too. Didn't have any problems, didn't print poorly. But yeah, windows, doors, and now stairwell. Pretty cool. Here's what I did. I just kind of took these little foam pieces, just outlined those windows with them, just to kind of give it a little more strength. I definitely think that helped out quite a bit. And just kind of put that last one on top. And I did that to all 4. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. I like that. I like that little outline. I think it looks pretty cool. Some nice little stones there. Looking good. And there's the finish of that second floor. So the first floor is obviously on the rock face, the tower itself. And then this one sits right on top of it. And then we're going to jump up to the next floor. I carved a hole in it and just kind of made it fit over. And I even cut away a little bit of that stairwell so you could actually make it look like you could walk out onto that next floor. And it's just going to kind of sit on there. But I had this idea of just kind of outlining it with some wood sticks. I got really tired of cutting out those foam bricks. I was like, you know what? We're going to use some coffee stirs. And all I did was throw a little PVA glue on them and just slap them on. And just did them all the way around. If you notice, I kind of had it sitting there so I could see where each of them was going, because I wanted it to drop to the outside of the tower on the bottom section there. So I just went around the whole thing, just gently laying those in. And then I had to do sort of these little areas here. So what I did was I just kind of measured it, cut it off there, laid it on, made sure I got it the right size, and glued them on. Cut this one to fit and just throw them in there. And then, you have to cut some angles. You'll see the little angle cuts there to go around those stone windows. You'll notice some imperfections here. At first I was a little bothered, but I realized, this is a mage's tower. This mage has been building it for years, and, if you think about it, the longer a mage studies magic, the crazier he's going to get. At least that's how I picture it in my world. Either they're going to become, these impressive, incredible, incredibly intelligent people, or they're just going to become completely mad, right? Like most people in academia. I mean, let's face it, come on. We've all been to college. We've had those college professors. At least I did. So I figured, you know what, why not have a little crazy college professor sitting in his little ivory tower, looking down on everybody. Looking great. Here's the next floor up then. So now this is going to be the 4th floor of the tower. And I cut it to kind of fit around that stairwell. We got a nice fit there. And then I started just kind of laying out these pieces of wood, just kind of where they would line up with the next floor down. And I had the idea to just kind of cut them to fit. And I did this with a bunch of coffee sticks. And just matched them up. Yep. And then put some glue down and just started shoving them into the foam. And you'll see that here. I thought this was kind of an ingenious way of doing it, and it was much faster. I'll be honest with you, it looked good towards the end. At first, though, I was a little worried. I probably should have cut a little bit along there with like with a knife, like my X-Acto knife, something like that, and just kind of cut that line along there first. And I think I did that in later parts of it, and then put the glue in. But these guys, just kind of shove them in there, and they're good to go. But works out pretty well. And again, it gives me a nice little solid wall. And then I end up doing some supports around it, and I'll show you, because it definitely isn't very strong. But this was an easy way to get another floor done. And again, this one was kind of about speed. I was getting a little tired of this, and I was like, all right, we got to get this thing done. You can see there's a lot of space there between the wood. I don't know what I'm going to do about that yet. I think I'm going to throw a piece of paper in around there maybe and just paint it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But here's how that bottom level looks. Looks pretty cool. And I realized I didn't cover up that bottom part, so I just started cutting a couple little wood pieces and gluing them in just to fit and cover that up. So here we are back to this other piece. I decided to cut out some of these little foam strips and glue them on as if they're like basically little stone pieces that are supporting it. And I kind of like this look. I did this kind of all over. You'll see it on different levels of the tower. And that adds a bit of strength. I think what I'm going to do too is go in, and I think I already did this for another level, but went through with some hot glue on the backside and just kind of tied everything together, gave it a little bit extra strength. I realized I forgot to do this. I should have done this before I put the other ones on, but got to carve in that woodwork pretty easy using a pencil. You'll see me mess up a little bit, right there, but you can cover up those little mess ups. It's not a big deal. I don't know why my pencil kept sliding that direction, but pretty easy. Just draw your lines here, and then you'll see me come back and draw in the wood grain. I've seen people use metal brushes. I haven't tried that yet, but I probably will when I do some house builds, something like that. Here's what I do though. Just, etch those lines in between the boards in real good, and then just a light etching on it to add some wood grain. And that really brings it to life. Again, that's when it really starts, you can start seeing it like, man, this is looking really cool. But I really like the way this turned out. I really like that little wood grain effect. Nice little floor, looking good. I also decided to put some of these around the outside, and if you notice, every other one is going to be kind of aimed upwards, and that's to kind of hold the next floor in place. That way it doesn't fall off. Gives it a little support, and I think it has a nice look to it. There we are. About halfway done. Just a few more and the last one in place, and we got this floor done, and we can move on to the next one. Now this next floor, I decided to just kind of do one window. I had one extra. So this is that same floor we were just working on. I already carved in the wood, but I decided to kind of dry fit these first, make sure they all fit where I wanted them, glued them into place, gave that window, you know, a little bit of, you know, security to it so it's not going to fall apart. Here's what we built so far. Man, it is looking big. That is about through, I think it's closing in on like 2.5 feet. Once I put the roof on, yeah, it ends up being pretty big. But I love that look. I think it looks so cool. Those little outlined windows, all that. Now this one, I did the same thing there, except for I actually used a piece of cardstock and wrapped it in like a ring. I didn't get this on camera. I thought I was recording it, but I wasn't, so that's okay. But then I just put those sticks on. Same thing I did before. And all I did was just glue those sticks on with some PVA glue. And now I'm taking another piece of cardstock and wrapping it around the outside, just layering on that hot glue. Again, I'm using a variety of methods here because I want this to be nice and sturdy. And I just kind of did what came to my head. I didn't, to be honest, I kind of flew by the seat of my pants here. I really wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And so I was just like, you know what, we're going to try some new stuff out. And thankfully it worked. I think it looks pretty good. But yeah, it turned out okay. And now we're going to start on the actual roof structure. So I'm just going to put 2 little beads of hot glue here and then 1 bead of hot glue on one of our coffee sticks. And then I'm just going to press the 2 together and then down into that hot glue. That should give it a nice sturdy spot there to kind of cling to. And my hot glue gun's pretty hot, so when this stuff sets up, man, it does not want to move. So there's our first 2, and then I add some kind of support structures there. All around, same thing, just kind of keep adding some hot glue. And then I decided to add some of these bracings in between because I need something for the shingles to sit on. And I started by just adding them pretty far apart, and then I realized I need them a lot closer. So you'll see me add some more. But that's roughly the base structure of the roof. I really like it. I think it looks awesome. It's got a good Harry Potter, almost Hogwarts feel to it. And I really like that. So all I did was I take some thick cardstock that I had, cut it into some little, little squares, and just started putting them on there. I think if I do this again, I would trim the corners so they looked like they were like an octagon, or not an octagon, what the heck am I talking about? What the heck shape? I don't remember. Good thing I don't teach math, huh? But just kind of clip off the corners of the front of each of those little shingles, and that makes it look even better. I probably would have done that if I'd redo it, but overall, honestly, I think it looks great. It's got kind of an old school feel to it, and once I get that painted and get some moss growing on there, man, it's gonna look good. But there it is. There's our second tower completed. The last thing I had to do here was throw some shingles onto the other roof. I realized I'd forgotten to do that, so just grabbed those same shingles and just threw them along. Again, I really wish I would have trimmed those front corners up, but yeah, whatever. That's all right. Hindsight's 20/20. It's okay. My players ain't gonna notice. I'm not gonna notice, and it turns out great anyways. So, again, it's one of those things that, like, it's okay not to be perfect. I think that's one of the things about crafting I love. You learn to not be perfect. It's okay. Some people out there really try to put their effort into that, and that's fine. That's them. For me, I just want something that I like and I enjoy and that I had fun building and that my players like. So as long as I do that, then we're good. Life's too short to try to be perfect all the time. And honestly, none of us are, so perfectionism is kind of a waste of time. Do your best, but, don't worry about being perfect, especially on these crafting. And here is the final look. Man, lots of work, literally days and days of work, but oh my gosh, totally worth it. That tower's a little off to the side. You'll see me fix it. But overall, man, does it look good. Here's how it stacks up. I grab just each layer and just kind of slide it on down right over it. It all fits together really well. You see me struggle here a little bit until I get it to just sit there nicely. Boom, perfect. And I can pick it up by that stairwell. Everything's really solid. Looking really nice. I grabbed my second level, which just should cover up the stairs there. And then finally our last floor. Looking good, looking good. I just realized I don't have a stairwell leading up to the last floor, so we're gonna have to add that in. So that'll be off camera, I'll build that, but I literally just noticed that now. Wait a minute, there's no way to get up there. We'll figure it out. Maybe I'll cut a door in and do like a little, you know, ladder out or something like that. I don't know, that'd be kind of cool. And then of course we gotta add on our roof there. Just kind of sits on top, and then I can pick the whole thing up and just stack it on top of my tower, and there we go. We have interiors that are playable. We got a nice looking tower. I will put some magnets on it too, so it'll stay nice and still and I won't have to worry about it tipping over. But that's the build there, ladies and gentlemen. A few little touch-ups here and there, but overall I think it turned out awesome. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this big craft. This took me a long time. The video itself took me close to 4 hours to edit and then do the music and the voiceover and all that. So if you liked this, I would appreciate if you left a like and heck, maybe even subscribe. We're going to paint this bad boy up next, so you don't want to miss that. And I got plenty of other stuff coming your way. I got some miniature reviews, advice on where to get good minis, a little bit on my books, all that fun stuff. But this craft has to be my favorite one of all time. Took a lot of work, but man, was there a big payoff. So I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you in the next episode, and good luck with all your writing and role-playing, everyone. You all take care now.